go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. So you have reached our last TinyCat webinar of 2017. Basically, what I will be doing is first I'll give you a brief explanation of exactly what LibraryThing is and how it relates to TinyCat, how they both sort of work together to help your library. And then we'll go ahead and do a tour of the whole front end of TinyCat. We'll try some catalog searches and see what those look like, look at book pages and things like that. And then I'll go ahead and log into our TinyCat admin portal and show you everything on the back end that you will need to manage your library. So for those of you who don't know what LibraryThing is and how it relates to TinyCat, LibraryThing it's the cataloging and social networking site for book lovers. So we've been around for about 12 years now. But LibraryThing on its own can be very vast and a little bit, you can get lost a little bit if you're just looking for a catalog for your books, something that you want to share with your visitors or patrons. So we built TinyCat. So TinyCat sort of sits on top of your LibraryThing library. LibraryThing will always be where you're going to catalog and edit all of your books, your music, your movies, things like that. TinyCat will transform your LibraryThing library into an OPAC, or an online public access catalog, something that you can, again, share with your visitors and patrons. They'll be able to look for books that they want to check out and things like that. So why don't we go ahead and look at our TinyCat homepage. You guys should be able to see Follow Seattle Athenaeum's homepage here. They are one of our bigger TinyCat libraries. You can see up at the top, we've got a nice, clean interface, a very void and unnecessary void of unnecessary distractions. You can upload your company's logo at the top here. Beneath that, you can also include your library's name. Of course, Folio doesn't need one. Then beneath that, we've got a space where you can put your welcome message, and then the nice prominent search bar for folks to search your catalog. Looks like we have Linda. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
I'm glad you're
getting the visual.
I'm so glad you can hear us now. Great. So now that it's working, I'm just going to go ahead and mute you for now. But as I mentioned to others, if you have any questions as I'm running through the webinar, please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can just use the chat feature, and I will stop and address questions as I can.
Great.
Okay, thanks. All right. And then moving below the search bar here, you can see we've got this nice bit of eye candy. This is called our animated cover display. And you can actually customize this to show your most recently added items or random items from your library. And then above and below the animated cover display, we've got spaces for you to add, highlighted links to searches within your catalog. If you want to highlight certain subjects or categories, you can also include information about your library, your hours, contact information, things like that. So it's fully customizable. Let's go ahead and try a search. And I'm going to actually jump out of Folio here into my own personal library, since I sort of know where everything is. Let's run a search for science. All right. So here's what my search page looks like in my TinyCat. Pretty simple, clean interface. Again, you can see my number of search results up at the top left here. If I've got multiple pages of search results, I'll be able to page through them in the middle. Over at the right, I can actually sort my searches. Searches on TinyCat are default sorted by relevancy, but you can also sort your searches by acquisition, by title, publication date, author, and popularity, which is calculated by LibraryThing. So you'll see if I sort my search by popularity here, I've got Harry Potter sorting at the top, which makes sense. It's a very popular item. I'm just going to pause for a second. David is asking, can you customize the browse by subject line on the home page? Absolutely. So that, let me just jump out of here and go to my home page here. You can see Folio Seattle Athenaeum's homepage was a little bit different than mine. I've added different links for my own homepage. So there's normally nothing here. You would just add your own content. So you can get whatever you want to your own homepage. And I'll show you what that looks like once we get into the admin portal. You'll be doing it from your homepage settings, and you can see what that looks like there. Okay. So so we've sorted by popularity. At the right here, we've got our search facets. You can have up to 6 different search facets on your search pages. Those include format, collections that your items are in, tags that you've applied to your items, genre, which is added and calculated by LibraryThing. And we've got language, and we also have original language, which I have excluded from my catalog. These are great for just narrowing down your searches. As a patron or a visitor, I can quickly narrow down what I'm looking for. So I've searched for science. I can hone that down even further to, let's just say, let's do health and wellness. So I can click that search facet, and it will narrow my search down to 3 items. I can also click other search facets at once, doing multiple at a time. I can also unclick it if I want to clear that, whatever I need. So powerful searching here. As far as the content that's showing on the search pages, I can include quite a bit. I've included everything I can here on my search pages. Those include tags, collection, series information, barcode and call numbers, availability status, and then these 3 action buttons, which include patron self-checkout and holds, and then the Ask About This button, which I'll show you what those are once we actually get to a detail page. Beneath the book covers, you'll see we've got a couple icons here. We have our email icon, so you can actually email items directly to yourself or someone else if you need. And you can also start building a starred list. Starred lists on TinyCat are great for things like reading lists or research projects, even wish lists that you might want to email to somebody, anything like that. So just clicking the star below the cover of the item I want to add will start building my list. Let's just go and add a few more items, and you'll see that as I am doing that, the top right is tallying up how many starred items I have. All right. Once I've got a few more, I can actually go view my starred list up at the top right here. And now I can actually email this entire list of items to myself, to my research partner, whoever I need. And those items will get sent in an email. So pretty convenient. Starred lists are all browser session based. So with each new browser session, this list will clear for you. Okay. All right. Any questions so far on searches, starred lists, customizing homepage? I'll pause just a moment.
For the start items, is there a URL also, or is email the only way to share that list?
For start list, the URL, yeah. You don't get. Let me see. Yeah, you won't get the list on because it's browser session based, so you won't be able to get like a permanent URL or something to link to that. Yeah. Good question, though. Okay. And then before I hop out of searches, I will quickly show you we do have an advanced search. So if you look to the right of our search bar, either on your home page or anywhere here, you can just go to your advanced search. This is actually where I get a lot of the searches for adding saved links to my home page. You can actually search for just about any data field within your TinyCat. And you can also limit your searches by collection, by language, and also by media type. And you can search for multiple terms at once. We use and/or Boolean search syntax. So it's pretty, again, powerful searching here. And Martha is asking, do you have time to show us an exam? I'm not quite understanding. I'm going to try to unmute you here. Martha, what do you mean?
Okay, what on the front, on the home page of your
Yep.
TinyCat, is there a do you have time to show us an example of customization, like actually doing?
Oh, yeah. I can show you what that will look like when we dive into the admin portal on the settings pages.
Okay, thank you.
We'll touch upon that. Yep, great. Okay. All right, without further questions about searches, why don't we go ahead and go to a book page. I'm going to actually go to Harry Potter here since that's a good one. All right. So here is what my detail page looks like within my TinyCat. The thing I love about detail pages is that there is so much that you can add or remove to or from these pages. So you get a real opportunity to customize the flavor of your catalog here. Just some of the highlighted terms that you can add to your detail pages would be things like tags or subject data, your own rating or average ratings of various items. These are all pulled in from LibraryThing. You can include awards that the book has been listed on in LibraryThing, published media reviews, and library-embedded user reviews. LibraryThing has about over 2 million members, I believe, so we've got a lot of data to pull from. And we've also got this wonderful recommendations feature. It's called Similar in this library in TinyCat, but we have some of the best recommendations around, and this feature will show your patrons and visitors similar items in your library that they might like. And all of the terms that are blue, of course, these are links, so you can actually, I could click onto fantasy, and I would get all of the books that I have tagged fantasy in my library. That's a nice feature. Okay. Underneath the book cover here, you'll see that on top of the email icon and the starred list, I also have access to various social media icons. So you can customize these, include or exclude whatever you want, but it's just a nice way for folks to be able to share items on their social media. All right. Let's go ahead and try a self-checkout. So if I was a patron in this system and I wanted to go ahead and check out this item, I would just click the checkout button. And this, hey, what's the password? This means I am in simple circulation mode. TinyCat offers 2 circulation modes for you. Simple circulation is really great for high-trust environments, things like classroom libraries or small community groups that you're comfortable sharing one password with all of your patrons. And full circulation mode is where each patron will get their own login. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. Once I log in, I will be given a list of all of the patrons in the system, and I can go ahead and check this book out to whoever I need. As you can see, they're mostly Harry Potter characters. Let's go ahead and check this out to Draco Malfoy. I'm going to confirm my checkout request, click OK. And now the status for that book has automatically refreshed to checked out, so nobody else can check out the book. I have it customized to show the due date so I can see when the item is due. And I can still have access to the Ask About This button. The Ask About This button, just to quickly show you that, is great, especially if you don't have self-checkout enabled. Anybody can use the Ask About This button to inquire about an item. So you can actually customize the little pop-up message here and ask for certain information in the comment field or whatever you need. And all they have to do is enter in their name and email, and then enter their comments, something like, I want to check this out. Once I click submit, my request will be sent to the library admin, and then they can reach back out to me with my request. Pretty simple. Any questions so far about the self-checkout or Ask About This? Anything else? I'll give you a moment. Okay. Awesome. I think we are ready to dive into the admin portal now. We've gone over the search pages and detail pages. Yeah, let's go ahead and sign into our admin portal. So at the bottom right here, you'll see this little lock icon. This is my shortcut to get to my admin portal. I'm just going to go ahead and click that and log in. It's the same username and password as my LibraryThing account. And now I am in my admin portal. I can actually give you the direct link to your admin portal there. I've just included it in the chat. David is asking, if one doesn't use the system for checkout, can you disable those features? Absolutely. And I'm just about to hop into the settings, and I'll show you where those are. But yes, you can turn off self-checkout or patron accounts entirely. All right. Once you're in your admin portal, you've got access to everything that you need to manage your TinyCat. You have a link back to your catalog homepage here. All of your settings pages where you're going to customize the look and feel and function of your TinyCat. Your check-in and out page where you can check multiple items in and out to patrons. History of transactions. Your patrons page where you're going to actually add, import, edit, or delete your patron information. Billings, just to set up your TinyCat subscription. This LibraryThing page is really helpful. I'm going to go ahead and open this up in another tab. If you're new to LibraryThing and you just want a sort of focused list of what you need that's on LibraryThing's end, this is going to be where you're going to want to go. We've added links to your Add Books page on LibraryThing, links for your importing options, whether you have MARC files or other imports that you need, and anything else that you might need on LibraryThing's end, it will be right here. Okay. Again, the help page is also a really, really good one too, obviously. This is our TinyCat Help Wiki. We have written help pages, and I'm going to include the link right in the chat here. We've written help pages on pretty much everything within your admin portal, plus more. All of the setting pages that I'll be briefly reviewing in a moment, this goes into much greater detail. Anything else that you might need, try looking at the TinyCat Help Wiki and see if you can find answers to any questions you might have. And of course, if you can't find the answer, you can always email us. That's a good resource. Okay, and then off at the right here, you can see I've just got this quick shortcut summary of information showing me how many records I have in my TinyCat, current items checked out, on hold, things like that. And I can actually click through to some of those. David is asking, are all titles listed on WorldCat available in the underlying LibraryThing database? I believe WorldCat is OCLC, right? We don't have access to OCLC. They want to make us pay for it, basically. But we have Overcat. LibraryThing has Overcat, which is LibraryThing's own database of hundreds of libraries worldwide with millions of records that you can copy catalog from. And we also have, I think, we've got Amazon, we've got hundreds, probably thousands now. We've had some volunteers adding sources to our Add Books sources on LibraryThing's end. But yeah, you've got access to hundreds of sources that you can copy catalog your books from. Does that answer your question? All right, gonna move along without response here. Okay, yes, I just want to make sure that we have access to titles published abroad. Perfect. Yep, you will. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into our settings pages for TinyCat. So as you can see on the left here, we've got a lot of settings pages. So I won't go into great detail, but I'll just sort of give you a one-sentence summary of what each settings page will do. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me. Linda is asking, let me pause for one moment. Our church plans to have a separate computer for church members to check out their books. how do we set up a separate login for circulation so that the members cannot get into the admin? Yep, I can show you that right from our patron account settings page, just a couple minutes. All right. So the first page for your settings you're going to see is your basic settings page. Your basic settings page is where you can view your account type, whether it's volunteer or paid staff. This is my test account, so there is no free lifetime. I've just applied this special custom thing for my own test account here. You can also change your library's name. You can set which collections you want to include from LibraryThing, all right here. Your content settings is where you're going to decide what type of book covers you want displayed, also what genres and collection labels to show within your catalog. And you can even include custom JavaScript to every page within your catalog if you want to. This is just a way to add a little bit more flavor to your catalog if you want, if you know JavaScript or have a team member that does. Just to show you an example of what that would look like. One of our TinyCat libraries is the Center for Ancient Mediterranean and Near Eastern Studies. They have this reservation and appointment form that they have built using the custom JavaScript feature. And so that will show up on every page in their catalog for them, just to show you what that might look like. Okay. Your homepage settings. This is where you can completely customize your homepage with everything that we reviewed. Where you were asking, David, I believe, where you would add searches, links to saved searches for your homepage. You would do that probably under the content underneath the search box is probably where you would want it. The default, I mean, you'll have nothing normally, but you can also include just a list of links where you can have the title of the link and the link to the saved search if you want, or whatever link you need to add. And if you know basic HTML, you can add a little bit more formatting using the free HTML option. Does that help answer your question? And if you want to know how to do specific examples, I'm happy to help. You can always email me privately. Okay. The search page settings. This is where you're going to decide what fields you want to allow patrons to search, and also what they're able to see as far as content and search facets. Your detail page settings is going to be where you're customizing the Ask About This feature that we reviewed. You can disable it entirely. You can change the name of the actual button if you want, whatever you need. You can also include links to LibraryThing or Amazon, and you can customize your sharing buttons here. And David is asking, do you know where to find instructions for using free HTML? If you just Google basic HTML, you'll find some basic tags, and they'll also explain what tags are. You'll get some basic tags that you could use to format your text or make text bold or italic or underline, things like that. If you just Google it, there's plenty of resources that you should be able to find. All right, moving along, your detail page sections. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be where you're organizing the fields that you want on your detail pages. We have this wonderful drag and drop feature. You can drag everything where you want it. If you don't want a field within your detail page, you can just click the X to the right of it, and it will put that down into your inactive fields area. If you want to add a field to your detail page, just click the little up arrow to the right of a field, and then drag it where you want it to live. We've also got 2 visual spacers so that you can have up to 3 different sections on your detail pages. Your patron settings is for deciding how you want to enter and show your patron names in the system. And it's also where you can decide which patron fields you're going to actually use. We have 4 default fields, and you can also add custom patron fields if you like. You can see that occupation and patron category are a couple of customizable fields that I've added. I can actually edit those if I need or delete them entirely. And patron account settings. This is where you're going to disable self-checkout entirely if you didn't want to include that. Actually, no, you can have, you want to actually disable that if you don't want patrons to have accounts at all. And if you want to disable the self-checkout or place hold buttons, you can do those from here. But if either of these are enabled, you need to have at least some form of patron accounts, whether they're simple or full circulation. And so we've already gone over the simple circulation. Full circulation patron accounts is where patrons would get their own IDs and passwords for checking out books. And so actually, if I save to full circulation mode, and I go to my home page, this little person icon up in the top right here, this means I'm using full circulation mode. And so if I'm a patron in the system, I can actually click this to log in. You can require your patrons to log in with just their barcode or ID, or you can require them to also require a password, which I can show you what that'll look like. So if I was a patron, I'm just entering my barcode, and now as a patron, I've got access to all of my lending history, current and historical. I can renew items. I can look and view my personal information if I want. Anything that I need is right there. Okay. All right. Circulation settings, pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be where you can customize your patron actions, your admin actions, setting your call number system, default circulation period if you have one. All of that will be right here for you. And then finally, contact info settings. This is primarily for LibraryThing's use. We do require at least a name and an email in case your account was disabled. We just want to make sure that you didn't need help with anything, or if you need to reach us, all of that's right there. Okay. Any questions on any of the settings pages that we had? Give you guys a couple seconds to think if you need.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Amber. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi. Well, I have a question. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask this, but, and I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but when you get to the TinyCat page, when you're looking at it and you're looking at the book details, there's something that appears on my page down below where it says, there's like a link to LibraryThing that I want to take out because I don't want people to get in there and edit my records.
Oh, so under the more, the link to LibraryThing.
Yeah, how do you get rid of that?
Yep, I can show you that. So back on your settings, should be under your detail page settings, you have LibraryThing links. So you can just select the no link option.
Okay.
And it should hide that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Excellent. Linda is asking, do you need barcodes for patrons, or can you use patron names in full circulation? All patrons do require a barcode, strictly for, that's how we identify them in the system, so that they have their own unique barcode. That way, if you have 2 John Smiths, each one of them has their own barcode, and you can still use the same name twice in the system. But you can display your names as names, and you can also use them for checking out. You don't have to enter the barcodes, but they are all assigned their own barcode. Does that make sense? All right, I will assume it does. Okay, good questions. Let's go ahead and look at the check-in and out page for your admin portal. So again, this is what you're going to want to use. If you are an admin, it's just going to be way easier to do it from here. You can check multiple items in and out as you need. It's pretty simple how it works. You can either scan ISBNs or barcodes to add them to your item list, or you can manually search by barcode, ISBN, title, author, whatever you need to get the items on your list. So let's go ahead and add barcode 37 and 48, and we'll do 100. I know that will bring back multiple items. If you add an item and there's multiple results, you can just quickly click the title that you need to add to your item list. All right, once you've got your item list, you can apply the status that you need. The default is going to be checked out. You can also do custom statuses if you need. Then you're going to enter the patron. You can either enter their name or their barcode, and you should be able to scan your barcode too. I think I just saw a bug somebody reported a couple days ago, so I've got to test that, but you should be able to scan in your barcodes there. If I'm using the names and I enter 3 characters of the patron's name, we do have this patron name autocomplete feature where it'll find all of the matching patrons in the system. So I can just quickly select the patron that I need. The date is going to be default for today, but I can change that if I want. It's already filling in my default circulation period, so that's good. And then I'm just going to click Save to check these items out. And the system is telling me that it's saved, and if I use my shortcut here to look at my transactions, I should see the 3 items at the top. And there we are. So those 3 books were just checked out. I'm going to pause for a moment. Linda's asking, in simple circulation, can you keep patrons out of admin? Yes, absolutely. So whatever patron accounts you have or don't have, as long as you're not logged into your admin portal on the same machine that patrons have access to, then they won't be able to access your admin portal because you have to, now that this looks like a little home icon, this means that I'm currently logged into the admin portal. If I was to be inactive for 15 minutes, the system will automatically log you out of your admin portal just as a security feature. So then you would have to log back into your admin portal. So as long as you're not sharing your login to your admin portal, which is the same login that you would have for your LibraryThing account, folks will not be able to access that. Does that help? Let me know if you've got further questions. Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So we just checked out 3 books to Neville Longbottom, showing up here. That's a nice transition to our transactions page. You can see that I did use my shortcuts that TinyCat has here. This would be the same thing as if I went to my admin portal and then just went to my transactions page. So I'm seeing the same thing. Looking at your transactions, you're going to first land on your active transactions. So all items that are currently checked out or overdue, anything like that would be here. From my left-hand menu, I can actually view all of my transactions, which will show me items that have been returned or otherwise closed. I can also look at my transactions by title. This does not mean that I am sorting alphabetically by title, but rather if I have multiple transactions for an item, it will cluster them up for me, and it will still sort by most recent date. So you can see that Jaws has been checked out a few times. That's my Tasmanian Books, Birds book, all right here. It's a good way to see lending history for items. And then I've got my statuses option as well. It's the same shortcut that's showing on my admin portal. I can look at just items that are overdue, or just items that are on hold. They'll show up if I have those, whatever I need. All right. Any questions on lending, checking out items, or transactions? We'll hop into the patrons page next so I can show you how to add and edit your patrons. Okay, great. All right, so moving along, we've got our patrons page here. First, I'm going to be able to view all of my patrons. It's alphabetically. I can sort my patrons by however I need. If I need to add a patron, I'm just going to use the Add Patron button. I can do those one by one. If you've got a batch of patrons to import, you can actually do that as well. Just click the More button here and then Import Patrons. And I can quickly show you what that looks like. It's a very quick process. It's, I think it's just like a 3-step process. You're just grab like it loads up my files for me. Being a little sluggish this morning, so. And, okay. Got my patron import sample file. There we go. So import with CSV only for patrons. And we've got a 2 megabyte file size max. Once you've got your file, you load it, and then you're brought to your mapping page. So you're just going to drag and drop to line up the fields that you have in your system on TinyCat with those that are in your file. So I know I don't have country. Just going to drag that down there and swap those. Once everything is lined up and looking good, then I'm just going to submit. And then those patrons will be imported into the system. I actually already had the same patrons imported, so it's just going to overwrite my data for me. But they're all right there, pretty quick and simple. Amber is asking, is there a way to run a circulation statistics report? Unfortunately, no. TinyCat does not offer statistics reports at this time. But I do have a request into developers to at least add the ability for folks to export their transactions so that they can run their own circ stats as they need. It hasn't been built yet, but it's on the list. So we will be sure to update the TinyCat group if and when that happens, which will hopefully be sooner than later. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience there. All right. Once I'm looking at my patrons, I can edit patrons by using the little pencil icon here. I can also delete my patrons there. I can merge my patrons. So if you have a volunteer that mistakenly added a patron twice in your library, you can merge them together. If I'm in full circulation mode and requiring my patrons to use a password to log in, not just their IDs, this will be where you're going to generate the passwords for them. At this time, you're going to have to do it manually for now by using this little pound symbol or the hash icon. I can generate a new password for this patron. Once I've got my new password showing for me, the system randomly generates them for you. Then you'll want to securely hand this over to the patron, either whether that's reading that to them over the phone or handing it to them on a slip of paper. I would not recommend sharing passwords by email. Then you click OK, and this password will not show up again, so they will need that to log in. And you can do the same thing if you need to reset their password as well. All right. And moving down to, bear with me, it's been a few weeks since I've done a webinar, so yes, we've recently added, if you go to your patron fields page, you can actually customize what you're seeing on this page. So this is a really nice feature if you want to send your own overdue notices or things like that. I could add email or phone to this page so that I can see that information. And it's also going to show me current lending, so I can see anyone that has overdue items. Godric Gryffindor, I can actually go ahead and use this information to reach out to them and let them know that they have items that need to be returned. And I believe we just added the current lending to this maybe in the last few weeks, so that's something new that you could do. But I think that's about it. Any questions on how patrons work, adding or deleting, importing? Great questions so far. We'll give folks a minute to think. Okay. I think that pretty much covers everything within TinyCat. We've gone over the whole front end and back end of it. Again, before folks head out, if you would like me to send you a follow-up email with a list of all the important links that you might want for TinyCat, anything that we've gone over today, just shoot me your email address in the chat feature, and I will make sure that you get the follow-up email. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Amber. I got both of your emails. And I believe David and Linda, I already have your emails. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming, guys. One more link to share with you. If I don't get your email, LibraryThing does have a YouTube channel now. And I'm just going to find the link for you here. And I have been adding video tutorials to the channel for about a year now. And this is a great way, if you're more of a visual learner, to find quick tutorials for both LibraryThing and TinyCat. So I recommend you visit our YouTube channel and subscribe to us, and you'll get updates whenever we upload new tutorials or webinars and things like that. All right, and David is asking, are there other libraries using TinyCat that you can direct us to? I would recommend visiting the TinyCat discussion group. We can't necessarily give out information for libraries directly, but all TinyCat libraries are added automatically to the TinyCat group. And so if you have a question that you want to ask, libraries are using it, you know, anything that you might want suggestions or recommendations for, you can visit the group page and sort of ask the forum there. And we've got, we do have a couple of featured libraries on our brochure site, but that's about it. But if you have any questions that you can't find answers to, you know, feel free to email me. You can always email us at tinycat@librarything.com, or my personal email is kristi@librarything.com, and I will answer your questions as soon as I can. Thank you, Martha. I got your email. All right. So I'll hang around for a few more minutes if anyone has any other questions, but you guys are set to go, and thanks again, and have a good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, David.
Hi. Could I ask you a couple of questions now?
Absolutely. Martha, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks
Is
again.
it all right if I listen in on the questions to see if it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure in case you were heading out.
It's somewhat individualized, which is why
Yeah.
I waited to the end.
Yeah.
Are you able to set up a sort of a structured search page in addition to the advanced search, say that limits the choices for users? What I mean is, for instance, we are creating a database sort of translations, and we wanted, could we say set up a search page that asks country of source language, let's see, genre, and subject.
Yeah, so aside from the advanced search, there's no way to really customize how searches are run on TinyCat. That's more of like a deeper design thing, but you might want to just try adding, like what Folio Seattle did, is links to highlighted searches.
Okay.
And run your own list of advanced searches and then links to those so that visitors have sort of shortcuts to, you would say like browse by language, like, oh, I'm looking for, French or whatever it is. You can have that right on your home page.
Are these categories in the Seattle Athenaeum, the Folio Library, that is, are those collections?
So it depends. I mean, I could actually just look at, they could be organizing their library by tags that they've added. So looking at this, yeah, this looks like tags that they've added. I can look at the URL and see that this was an advanced search for their tag recently published. They've got, yeah, it looks like they're searching by tags again here. Yeah, it looks like a majority of what they're doing is searching by tags. So, and you can add your own tags to your books in your library so that you can search by those, and then include links to those on your homepage or whatever you're looking for.
Okay.
And then keep in mind that any basic search that someone does, so if someone was to do history, you can customize search facets here, and so any tags that you have for the matching items will show up here as well.
Okay.
For your search facets.
Are collections essentially the analog to shelves in LibraryThing?
Sort of, yeah.
So it's just a way of making subsets of your total.
Yeah, collections and tags are primarily the ways to sort of just organize your library. With collections, you can actually, there's nuances between the use of both. You can exclude entire collections from your LibraryThing. So say if you've got a collection that you don't want included in your TinyCat, you can have a special collection for those on LibraryThing. You can search either one or all collections on LibraryThing then, but you can search multiple tags. There's little nuances between the two, but yeah, both are useful for organizing your books.
Okay. Well, I think we have to sort of delve in to see how it works and how we can best tag our stuff before I can.
Yeah, definitely. I would suggest, importing a small batch just to sort of play around with it and see how it all works and functions, and if it's really going to fit your library's needs. And, as you can import, once you've got your data cataloged in LibraryThing, you can sign up for TinyCat whenever you're ready. You'll get a free 30-day trial. If you find that you need more than 30 days to test it out, just let me know. I'm happy to extend the free trial for you.
Okay, great. We have already done that and have imported maybe 200 books or so.
Great.
Do you suggest that we use, if there are more than one administrator, do you suggest we have multiple passwords or have one administrator's account that we log in?
That's a simple answer for me because you can't have we don't have multiple logins for admins at this time.
I see.
So you'll all share one login.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. I appreciate your taking the time today.
Wonderful. Yeah, thanks for coming, and yeah, looking forward to working with you.